Good evening, YouTube. Duty Ron back again with another video talking about Jeffrey Epstein, the child pedo billionaire. It's all over the news. If you haven't heard about it, I don't think that you're paying attention. But just going to go live here now and speak quickly about the updates on this case, give you guys a little bit of backstory and some videos. Hello, Shannon. Hi, Jennifer. Hello, Shelly. Good to see you. Shelly, I'm so happy Dad is on the mend. So much love and prayers, strength to Papa Bear. Back your way. Hello, Michelle Vogel. Good to see you. Wallflower. Good to see you. Thank you, Christopher, coming in. Tabby. Everybody's joining. Ginger. Great to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, if you haven't invited or shared onto your social media, please share. Hello, Alexis R. Good to see you. Starlight. Kelly K in the building. Everybody is jumping in. Good to see you. Thank you, Sandra, for coming in, saying hello to everyone in the chat. Marie, good to see you. Hi, how are you? Welcome in from Colorado. Sandy, thanks for joining. I'm having a good evening. I'm going to make it quick. I'm going to consolidate this update. As you guys know, Jeffrey Epstein, a multi-millionaire, some say a billionaire, arrested on Saturday at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey over here. Good to see you, Lonnie. Thanks for joining, Miss Justice. Hello, Richard. Good to see you. Erin Leahy, thank you for joining. Thank you. So he has been arrested not even a week ago. He's been indicted on two very serious charges. So he is now in federal custody. We've had news conferences from the Labor Secretary, Alex Acosta. It seemed like a very, very dry news conference. He put it out today. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I watched it in its entirety twice. I had to watch it 2 times to fully get what he was talking about. Hello, Golf. Good to see you. Acosta, very slow-spoken, well-spoken guy, but very creepy looking. And the message that he sent was discouraging because he did not apologize to the victims for his office mishandling the case and giving leniency to a child pedo. What I want to reiterate here is that I feel strongly that the law enforcement did their job in arresting him and bringing him to justice, but I feel the prosecution and the justice system failed big time, and it failed the victims. It failed these poor young girls who were victimized by this freaking creep. So, exactly. Farm All, good to see you. Everybody follow, subscribe to Farm All Fanatic. Great friend of my channel. Great friend of everybody here on YouTube. Hi, Jonna. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. So, again, I'm going to play a couple of video clips for you guys. If you don't mind, please share it out onto your social media. If you can create community posts, post a community post. I'm going to show you guys the press conference from today from the Labor Secretary Acosta. This is the man who was in charge of the Southern District in Miami, the FBI's Southern District. He was in charge of prosecuting this case back in the early 2000s and then handed it off to Palm County prosecutors. He dropped the ball. He let us down. Thank you, Farm All, for the super chat. Thank you for the super love. I appreciate that. Hi, Kelly E. Kelly, how are you? Great to see you. He thwarted his responsibility to others. He took responsibility. He took no responsibility. He was a joke. I agree with that. I concur with that statement 100%. So let me create a community post while I'm at it. Let me just let me share it onto Facebook real quick. Where else can I share? Twitter, obviously. I'm going to share it to Twitter, and then I'm going to play a video for you guys. I'm going to play a video for you. thank you for subscribing to Farmall. He's a great guy. Starlight is also a great channel, Farmall, if you want to check out her channel. She's really good people. Everybody in here is good people. Hello, Cam. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Please hit that thumbs up. Thank you so much. Unrelated can be, yes. Email me at dutyron@aol.com. Okay, so let's just dive right into it, guys. I'm gonna play you the Acosta press conference, but I'm gonna play you the condensed version. I'm not gonna play an hour's worth of this guy talking. I'm gonna play you what I feel is important for you to hear. And while I'm playing it, if you guys don't mind, please share it, invite. But this is current from today. This is his answer to the general public, his answer to us for what he did, and what his justification for what he did. Thank you, Michelle. Hello, Deco Paint and Tea. So I think it's important for people outside of the U.S. to hear this, people to see this. And if anybody within the U.S. didn't see this, you can hear it right here on my channel. So let me cue this up while we're talking. I have slow mode enabled. So I'm also going to play you one of the victims that came forward today. A blonde woman came forward today and is speaking out for the first time about Jeffrey Epstein. He allegedly raped her while she was 15 years old. So let's listen to it now. The volume might be low because it's from Fox News. Fox News always plays their volume low. I don't know why. So just turn your volume up so you can hear it. And I'm aware that it's going to be a little low. So this is just 3 minutes and 47 seconds. So this is a condensed version. Hello, Terry W. Good to see you. Pat, thank you. He is a sick person. I agree. All right, here we go, guys. So no more duty, Ron, for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So.
Good evening and welcome to Washington. I'm John Roberts in for Brett Baird tonight. President Trump's Labor Secretary Alex Acosta says he is not resigning over criticism of a plea deal that he approved with convicted sex offender and friend to presidents Jeffrey Epstein back in 2008. This afternoon, Acosta attempted to justify what some have said was a sweetheart plea deal for Epstein a decade ago in Florida. So far, his boss, the president, is standing by him. Correspondent Kristen Fisher starts us off tonight from the White House. Good evening, Kristen.
John, today Secretary Acosta offered no resignation, no apology to the victims, no expression of regret. Instead, he placed the blame for this very lenient plea deal squarely on the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office.
The Palm Beach State Attorney's Office was ready to let Epstein walk free. No jail time, nothing.
That's when Labor Secretary Alex Acosta, then a U.S. attorney in Miami, says his office stepped in. Instead of rolling the dice with a trial, Acosta says he cut the best deal he could to make sure Jeffrey Epstein went to jail. But even Acosta concedes he wasn't happy with how lenient the deal turned out to be. Epstein was allowed to leave jail to go to work, and he only served 13 months.
When we proceeded, the expectation was that it would be an 18-month sentence. And the expectation was that it would be served in jail. And so this work release was complete BS. And I've been on record as far back as 2011 saying that it was not what was bargained for.
As for Epstein's victims, who were largely kept in the dark about the deal, Secretary Acosta insists the prosecutors in his office were trying to protect them.
She did not want to share with the victims that the office was attempting to secure for them the ability to obtain monetary compensation, because she is aware that if she disclosed that and the negotiations fell through, Epstein's counsel would use this to question the victim's credibility.
Today, another woman came forward accusing Epstein of raping her when she was just 15 years old.
He raped me. Forcefully.
This is the young lady from today.
I knew exactly what he was doing. And I don't think cared. What hurts even more so is that if I wasn't afraid to come forward sooner, then maybe he wouldn't have done it to other girls.
Secretary Acosta is now urging other victims to come forward and commending prosecutors in New York for indicting Epstein on new federal sex trafficking charges.
He's a bad man, and he needs to be put away.
But Democrats say Secretary Acosta needs to go away and resign. Even after today's news conference, they say his explanation still isn't enough.
He must go, he must resign. He betrayed his position as a prosecutor. It was secret, immoral, and likely illegal.
But most Republicans on Capitol Hill are keeping quiet and say the question of whether the secretary should stay or go is up to one person.
I know the president said yesterday that he was going to look into it and review this, and I'll leave it up to the president.
If at some point the president decides that I am not the best person to do this job, I respect that. That is his choice. I serve at the pleasure of the president.
Now, so far, the president hasn't said what he thought of Secretary Acosta's performance today, but his chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, says that he thought Acosta did an excellent job of laying out the facts. Mulvaney said, quote, he did exactly what he needed to do. John?
Well, perhaps he'll stay around for a while yet. Kristen Fisher at the White House for us. Kristen, thanks.
Edwards
This is
has
the lawyer that
represented
represents
13
all the women
who
now.
accuse Epstein of abusing them. 12 say they were underage at the time. He's been on their side for more than 11 years from before Epstein's 13 women who accuse Epstein of abusing them. 12 say they were underage at the time. He's been on their side for more than 11 years from before Epstein's plea deal with now Secretary Acosta. Brad Edwards, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
The federal government prepared a 53-page indictment against Epstein back 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But you just heard Alan Dershowitz say they thought they were going to lose the case. Is he right?
He's wrong. He knows he's wrong.
I agree, Aaron. That is
the federal
so
government had a
insensitive
very
and
strong
crazy.
case. They had identified more than 30, about 34 underage victims. The evidence was overwhelmingly strong.
So why did they walk away from that indictment?
That's still what we want to know. So they went from, in May of 2007, they have a 53-page indictment. Literally 2 months later, there is the exchange of a non-prosecution agreement between Epstein's lawyers and the government. And our biggest problem was the victims were not told anything about it. They're cooperating with the federal government. They believe there's an investigation going on. And meanwhile, behind their backs, there's a secret deal happening between the government and Epstein. That's what was wrong.
That's so stunning, too, Brad, to hear that. You can't imagine what the victims are thinking. Well, you can imagine that. Does Alex Acosta have some explaining to do? Have you ever tried to reach out and get a conversation with him during all this time?
Well, he has a lot of explaining to do. We filed a case back in 2008 against the federal government under the Crime Victims' Rights Act, simply saying crime victims have basic fundamental rights to be heard at a hearing, to confer with the government, to be treated with fairness. I've reached out to Mr. Acosta numerous times, formally and informally, saying, just sit down with us and explain why.
How many times has he talked to you?
Never.
He's never talked to you.
Still right now, even going on television and sending out tweets, it's not helping anything. Just sit down.
So he doesn't even say no comment? He just gives you
Nothing.
no response? Nothing?
No response.
I was struck by the fact that in his statement on Twitter yesterday, Acosta said that Epstein's crimes are horrific. Not alleged crimes. Crimes are horrific, suggesting he had some sense that he was guilty at the time or is guilty after the fact. My question is, this settlement, this plea deal, was approved by the Justice Department at the time. Doesn't that give him some cover here?
The
deep sigh there.
Yeah, well, that's because he approved the plea deal. What the Justice Department approved was that he, Alex Acosta, could prosecute him. Yeah. That's what they said. You can prosecute him federally. And then Alex Acosta chose not to prosecute him federally. That's just really what happened.
This plea deal was ruled illegal by a court this year. Why is it still in effect?
We filed that case 11 years ago and fought for 11 years, and a federal judge has finally ruled in our favor. Yes, the federal government violated the victim's rights. Now, what do we do about it? We say It's pretty simple. It's an illegal agreement between Jeffrey Epstein on the one hand, the government on the other. In violation of victims' rights, you invalidate the agreement.
But that hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. I would say in the next 6 months, we're going to have a ruling on that, and I expect it to go in our favor. It just makes common logic.
Have other victims come forward since this story is now back in the news?
Just in the last 48 hours, we've heard from new victims. And one of the main reasons my clients came up for the hearing, who we still don't know who in the new indictment, who the victims are, but my clients from 11 years ago, they wanted to be at the hearing, they were at the hearing, and it was mainly so that they can say, if there are new victims, not only victims, or witnesses that have any information, call us. And
What would justice look like for your victims? Is it enough that he is behind bars?
There's relief there.
By your count, how many victims are there?
Well in excess of 50.
Wow, that's a big number. Here's another question, though. Are there going to be additional high-profile names attached to this? We have Epstein, a lot of people in Epstein's orbit at the time. Did they participate?
I have personally investigated this for 11 years and don't know of any high-profile person that would be implicated. Now, there are plenty of people that ran in his... Exactly. There are plenty of people that ran in his circles who have information, and that's one of the things. If you have information, you observed anything, you heard anything, come and let us know. Just tell us what you know at this point.
Well, many of the high-profile victims are saying they don't know nothing about nothing and are now running for the hills, who allegedly knew him very well.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But you're saying, how could you not know, considering his behavior?
Well, he wasn't hiding his behavior. No. If you look at the evidence, he's doing it every day, wherever he is, and it's not in secret. He had employees that their only job was to recruit girls for him.
Young women.
All right, not the end of the story, but the end of this conversation. Brad Edwards, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Become the year's first hurricane to hit the U.S. Appears to be bearing down on the Gulf Coast tonight.
In 2001, Jennifer Arose was 14 years old, a freshman at this New York high school, when one day she says a woman approached her outside.
The first time she brought up the name Jeffrey Epstein, how did she describe him to you?
He was just a great guy.
She was just saying, like,
you know, he's helped me. I've struggled. Like, she was
years old, a freshman at this New York high school, when one day she says a woman approached her outside.
The first time she brought up the name Jeffrey Epstein, how did she describe him to you?
He was just a great guy. She was just saying, like, you know, he's helped me. I've struggled. Like, she was similar to me.
And when you think of her now, you used the phrase, you said the recruiter. So you felt like she was looking for someone for him.
100%, yeah.
Arose says weeks later, the recruiter brought her to Epstein's townhouse just blocks from her school. She says she and Epstein talked, drank wine. As Arose left, she says she was given $300 by a secretary. After a few weeks of visits, Arose says she went alone to Epstein's massage room, where he pressured her into giving him a massage.
In that moment, it didn't...
At that moment,
feel strange to you.
But at the same time, I was scared, too, so I kind of just followed. You know, I would have just my underwear on, because that's how he liked it, so. And I would just give massages back, and then he would potentially later on turn over and play with himself. Then he would finish himself off, and then that would be the end of it. And he would still give me the $300.
How often do you think you were there?
Yeah, like once a week, twice a week, my freshman year.
After Arose turned 15, she says things took a turn.
You know, just take your underwear off and get on top. And I said I didn't want to. And he, you know, very forcefully kind of brought me into the table. I just did what he told me to do. I was really scared. I was telling him to stop. Please stop.
And did he?
No, he did not stop.
Arose says she didn't tell anyone immediately about her interactions with Epstein. She says she was too scared to go to the police, but that she eventually confided in 4 people. All confirmed to NBC News that Arose told them what happened years ago.
Did Jeffrey Epstein rape you?
Yeah, no, he raped me. Forcefully raped me, but knew exactly what he was doing. And I don't think cared. What hurts even more so is that if I wasn't afraid to come forward sooner, then maybe he wouldn't have done it to other girls.
NBC News reached out to Epstein's lawyers for comments several times, but they have not responded. In previous discussions with Arose's lawyers, Epstein's attorneys have challenged her credibility.
What would you say to those who say a civil suit, lawyers. This is about getting money.
He hurt me badly. I prefer not to go through this. So, you know, this is one way for me to get justice.
We did what we did because we wanted to see Epstein go to jail. He needed to go to jail.
Today, Labor Secretary Alex Acosta,
Hello, everybody
former
joining
U.S.
the chat.
attorney
Let's just
in
finish
Florida,
this up. This is the
says
last video.
accused sex trafficker
Hello,
Jeffrey
Linda Cormier
Epstein wouldn't
from
have served
Canada. Good
any
to see you.
time in jail over a
Let's,
decade
just listen
ago
to this. This
if
is the
his
end of it.
office hadn't stepped in.
Simply put, the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office was ready to let Epstein walk free. No jail time, nothing.
Because of a deal struck in 2008, Epstein pleaded guilty to state charges, including soliciting prostitution from a minor in exchange for avoiding federal prosecution. He was sentenced to 13 months, forced to register as a sex offender and make financial restitution with victims, what some critics have called the deal of the century. In that agreement, the U.S. attorney makes it clear that his office and the FBI were investigating much more serious federal charges, including the ones Epstein has pleaded not guilty to this week in New York: sex trafficking and conspiracy. But Acosta says given the evidence they had at the time in Florida, going to court would have been, in his words, a roll of the dice.
One of the tough questions in these cases, what is the value of a secured guilty plea with registration versus rolling the dice?
The Labor Secretary also argued that today's juries and judges are more sympathetic to sexual assault victims.
Today's world does not allow some of the victim shaming that could have taken place at trial 12 years ago.
Lester, late today, the former Florida state attorney issued a statement saying that Acosta's recollection of the matter is, quote, completely wrong, and that if Acosta was that concerned about the case, then he should have proceeded with federal charges.
All right, Stephanie, thank you.
Tonight, Louisiana under a state of emergency after a fast-moving...
All right, last thing I'm going to show you guys is I'm going to read the indictment to you guys. This is the indictment from New York. This is what he was found and he was indicted on Monday. So I'm going to try to get this to the largest that so you guys can see it. So let me get this up on the screen. How does that look? Let's see. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I want to read this indictment to you guys. All right. This is as large as I can get it. I think that's pretty good. Can you guys all see that? Thank you, Linda. Good to see you. Shelly B. It is nauseating. Listen. What this guy did with recruiters working for him. Hello, Red Lotus. Good to see you, Red Lotus. Hello, everybody that just joined in. Hi, Mel. So this is the indictment. It's 15 pages. Well, 14 pages. I hope you guys can see it. I have it stretched at 200%. Actually, 220 now. Okay. So I'm gonna read this. Anybody that's squeamish or that does not or suffers from anxiety might not want to hear me read this because this is going to be a little graphic. This is a little bit graphic. I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there. If you are sensitive to this, please just exit now and then come back because this is only going to take me about 10 minutes. But this is the official indictment that was put forward on Jeffrey Epstein on Monday. Okay, so it's the United States Southern District of New York, not Southern District down in Florida. Welcome in, Pusa Studios. Good to see you. All right, so this is the United States of America versus Jeffrey Epstein. Count 1, sex trafficking. The grand jury charges 1, as set forth herein, over the course of many years, Jeffrey Epstein the defendant, sexually exploited and abused dozens of minor girls at his homes in Manhattan, New York, and Palm Beach, Florida, amongst other locations. Number 2, in particular, from at least in or about 2002 up to and including at least in or about 2005, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, enticed and recruited and caused to be enticed and recruited minor girls to visit his mansion in Manhattan, New York, in parentheses, the New York residence, and his estate in Palm Beach, Florida, the Palm Beach residence, to engage in sex acts with him, after which he would give the victims hundreds of dollars in cash. Moreover, and in order to maintain and increase his supply of victims, Epstein also paid certain of his victims to recruit additional girls to be similarly abused by Epstein. That was a tongue twister for me. So this disgusting human being recruited, as I spoke about in my previous videos, that he recruited these young girls to recruit their friends. He was telling them, hey, tell all your friends about me. I'm going to give them money just the way I'm going to give you guys money, the way I've been giving you guys money. And they were doing it. And they were telling their friends and recruiting more people. These are young children, 14, 15 years old. It's disgusting. Okay, for those of you who are joining, I'm reading the indictment. This way, Epstein created a vast network of underage victims for him to sexually exploit in locations including New York and Palm Beach. The victims, plural, described herein were as young as 14 years old at the time they were abused by Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, and were, for various reasons, often particularly vulnerable to exploitation. Epstein intentionally sought out minors and knew that many of his victims were in fact under the age of 18, including because, in some instances, minor victims expressively told him that what their age was. So it's saying that he was told by his very victims that they were underage, and he continued to go forward with his disgusting sexual advances on them. Number 4, in creating and maintaining this network of minor victims in multiple states to sexually abuse and exploit, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, worked and conspired with others, including his employees and associates, who facilitated his conduct by, amongst other things, conducting victims and scheduling their sexual encounters with Epstein at his New York residence and at Palm Beach residence. So in other words, there's going to be more charges. This employee, which is a female, we all know it's a female employee of Jeffrey Epstein, was recruiting and paying and scheduling these girls. In other words, she was like a madam. She was saying, okay, at 6 p.m., you're going to come here to Jeffrey Epstein's residence in Manhattan, and you are going to be massaging him from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So here is the factual background. Hello, Luis Poppy. Thank you for joining. Kia Ora. Thank you to everyone for positively interacting in the chat. I'm almost done with reading this document. Factual background. This is factual background. This is right from the indictment from the U.S. Southern District. Factual background. Number 5, during all the time periods charged in this indictment, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, was a financer with multiple residents in the continental United States, including New York residents and Palm Beach residents. Beginning in at least 2002, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, enticed and recruited and caused to be enticed and recruited dozens of minor girls to engage in sexual acts with him, after which Epstein paid the victims hundreds of dollars of cash, at his New York residence and Palm Beach residence. In both New York and Florida, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, perpetrated this abuse in similar ways. Victims were initially recruited to provide massages, in parentheses, to Epstein, which would be performed nude or partially nude. It would become increasingly sexual in nature and would typically include one or more sex acts. Epstein paid his victims hundreds of dollars in cash for each encounter. Moreover, Epstein actively encouraged certain of his victims to recruit additional girls to be similarly sexually abused. Epstein incentivized, he made incentives to his victims to become recruiters by paying these victims/recruiters hundreds of dollars for each girl that they brought to Epstein. So he wanted fresh girls. He wanted fresh, some people say, that he wanted to have fresh encounters. In doing so, Epstein maintained a steady supply of new victims to exploit. It's disgusting. Disgusting. Reading this is really hard for me to read, but I want you guys to know, and I want you guys to hear what is being spelled out for him. The New York residence. Number 8. At all times relevant to this indictment, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, possessed and controlled a multi-story private residence on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in New York. The New York residence. Between and at least in or about 2002 and in or about 2005, Epstein abused numerous minor victims at his New York residence by causing these victims to be recruited to engage in paid sex acts with him. 14 years old. The youngest was 14 years old. When the victims arrived at his New York residence, she typically would be escorted to a room with a massage table where she would perform a massage on Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant. The victims, who were as young as 14 years of age, were told by Epstein and other individuals to partially or fully undress before beginning the massage. During the encounter, Epstein would escalate the nature of the scope of physical contact with his victims to include, amongst other things, sex acts such as groping and direct and indirect contact with the victim's genitals. Epstein typically would also masturbate during these sexualized encounters, ask the victims to touch him while he masturbated, and touch victims' genitals with his hands or with his sex toys. This guy is a filthy, filthy animal. Number 10. In connection with each sexual encounter, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, or one of his employees or associates, these employees or associates will be perhaps in the near future placed under arrest. In connection with each sexual encounter, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, or one of his employees or associates paid the victims in cash. Victims typically were paid hundreds of dollars in cash for each encounter. Number 11, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, knew that many of his New York victims were underage, including because certain victims had told him their age. Further, once these minor victims were recruited, many were abused by Epstein on multiple subsequent occasions at the New York residence. So what they're spelling out here is that once he knew that they were underage, and he abused them and assaulted them sexually multiple times. Epstein sometimes personally contacted the victims himself to schedule the appointments at his New York residence. In other instances, Epstein directed employees and associates, including a New York-based employee number one. Employee number one is a female, and she is going to be probably under arrest shortly, to communicate with victims via phone to arrange for these victims to return to the New York residence for additional sexual encounters with Epstein. Now, this woman is such a piece of garbage that she knowingly knew that he was doing these, committing these crimes against children, and she was scheduling them. It is just despicable, guys. Number 12, additionally, and to further facilitate his ability to abuse minor girls in New York, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, asked and enticed certain of his victims to recruit additional girls to perform massages and similarly engage in sex acts with Epstein. When a victim would recruit another girl for Epstein, he paid both the victim recruiter and the new victim hundreds of dollars in cash. Through these victim recruiters, Epstein gained access to and was able to abuse dozens of additional minor girls. Wallflower, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for the super love. Appreciate that. Coffee is on you. Number 13, in particular, certain recruiters brought dozens of additional minor girls to the New York residence to give massages to and engage in sex acts with Jeffrey Epstein. The defendant, Epstein, encouraged victims to recruit additional girls by offering to pay them. They just keep repeating this over and over again. Let's... employee number 1, who sometimes asked the recruiters to bring specific minor girls for Epstein. So there was they had lists of girls, of young kids that he wanted there, and he had his favorites that he would ask for them to come back. That's how he did it. And not only did he have these lists, but when they conducted a search warrant at his residence simultaneously when he was arrested, they took thousands of photographs from inside his a walk-in safe in his house and off of his computer of young girls, and they were all categorized. They were categorized for his New York location, for the Florida location, and for outside the country as well. In addition to recruiting and abusing minor girls, this is the Palm Beach residence. In addition to recruiting and abusing minor girls in New York, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, created a similar network of minor girls to victimize in Palm Beach, Florida, where Epstein owned and possessed and controlled another large residence, the Palm Beach residence. Epstein frequently traveled from New York to Palm Beach by private jet, his own private jet. Travel from New York to Palm Beach by private jet, before which an employee or an associate would ensure that the minor victims were available for encounters upon his arrival in Florida. At the Palm Beach residence, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, engaged in similar course of abusive conduct. When the victim initially arrived at the Palm Beach residence, she would be escorted to a room, sometimes by an employee of Epstein, including at times 2 assistants, employee number 2 and employee number 3. Those employees will also perhaps be placed under arrest, who, as described herein, were also responsible for scheduling sexual encounters with minor victims. That's a crime. They're spelling out employee number 1, 2, and 3 as committing a crime in this indictment. I know this verbiage. I know the jargon that's used here, and these employee 1, 2, and 3 are known to the government, to the feds, and they're going to be arresting these people. Mark my words. Mark my words. Okay, so employees number 2 and 3, who are as described herein, were also responsible for scheduling sexual encounters with minors. That spells out the crime. Once inside, the victims would provide a nude or semi-nude massage for Epstein, who would himself typically be naked during these encounters. Epstein would escalate the nature of the scope of the physical contact to include sex acts, such as groping, direct and indirect contact with the victim's genitalia. Epstein would also typically masturbate during these encounters, ask the victim to touch him while he masturbates, and touch the victim with his hands or with sex toys. So it's the same disgusting act, just in a different location. I agree, Louise. I feel that they will be arrested. In connection with each sexual encounter, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, or one of his employees or associates paid the victim in cash. Victims typically were paid hundreds of dollars for each encounter. Again, he knew that the victims were underage because the victims told him their age, and he still continued on with it. Okay, I'm not looking at the comments, so I'm hoping the moderators are taking care of anything that's not copacetic. So this is all okay. Here it is. Paragraph section 18. Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, who during the relevant time period was frequently in New York, would arrange for employee number 2 or other employees to contact victims by phone in advance of Epstein's travel to Florida to ensure appointments were scheduled for when he arrived. In particular, in certain instances, employee number 2 placed phone calls to minor victims in Florida to schedule encounters at the Palm Beach residence. So this is another crime. Employee 2 is intentionally calling a minor victim to a Florida location to schedule a sexual encounter. That's a crime. At the time of certain of those phone calls, Epstein and employee number 2 were in New York. Additionally, certain of the individuals victimized at the Palm Beach residence, they were contacted by phone by employee number 3 to schedule these same sexual encounters. So they're spelling out here employee 1, 2, and 3 are committing multiple crimes as well as the defendant, as the perpetrator, Jeffrey Epstein. Moreover, as in New York, to ensure steady stream of minor victims, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, asked and enticed certain victims in Florida to recruit other girls to engage in sex acts. Epstein paid hundreds of dollars to the victims' recruiters for such additional girls brought to the Palm Beach residence. Here's the statutory allegations. Number 20, from at least in or about 2002 and up to 2005 in the Southern District of New York, that's separate from Florida, and elsewhere, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, and others known and unknown. Notice that they name him and then they say defendants. Others known and unknown willfully and knowingly did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree together and with each other to commit an offense against the United States, to wit, sex trafficking of minors, in violation of Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1591A and B. It was a part and an object of the conspiracy that Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, and others known and unknown would and did in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce to recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, and obtain by any means a person, and to benefit financially and to receive anything of value from participation in a venture which has engaged in any such act, knowing that the person had not attained the age of 18 years and would be caused to engage in a commercial sex act in violation of Title 18, United States Section 1591A and B, Subdivision 2. Overt acts. In furtherance of the conspiracy and to effect the illegal objective thereof, the following overt acts, amongst others, were committed in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. In or about 2004, Jeffrey Epstein, the defendant, enticed and recruited multiple minor victims, including minor victims identified herein as minor victim 1, minor victim 2, minor victim 3, to engage in sex acts with Epstein at his residence in Manhattan, New York, and Palm Beach, Florida, after which he provided them with hundreds of dollars in cash for each encounter. This is just spelling out the crime. I'm just going to scroll forward because this is redundant and you guys get what I'm saying. This spells out the crime. It spells out here that minor victims 1, 2, 3 told him that before he paid them for the sex acts, how old they were, and he still went ahead with it. So this is sealing his fate, and he will be behind bars for the rest of his natural life. He will be convicted of this. There's no sidestepping this and getting out of this. He's basically finished. Here's the substitute asset provision. This is spelling out that all of his assets are going to be taken away. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Liz Sip, thank you for being in here. let me see what happened here. Okay. If any of the above described forfeitable property as a result of any acts or omission of the defendant. This is just saying that all of his real estate is going to be forfeited. The Palm Beach mansion and the New York residence is going to be taken over by the feds. It'll be forfeited to the federal government. So this is the intent of the United States pursuant to 21 USC of Statute 853. This is just a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo to seek forfeiture of any property of the defendant up to the value of the above forfeit. Anywhere where he committed these crimes, any resident where he committed these crimes, they will seize those assets. They will seize the assets. I don't know about his financials. It's not going to be, they're not going to seize his assets, money. They're going to seize his real property. Okay, so this is the end of the indictment. I read 3/4 of it to you. It's from United States Attorney from the Southern District, Jeffrey Berman. He's the real deal. And then this is it. This is the official document in a nutshell for you guys. This guy he's not married. He has no kids. He's never been married. Let me just see if there's one more thing I want to say. Hold on. I don't know if we want to play this. Record show Clinton dined with Epstein in 1995. I don't think this really matters, but let's hear what this has to say. It's only 2 minutes.
There's new fallout this morning from the sex trafficking case against Jeffrey Epstein. Lawmakers now calling on Labor Secretary Alex Acosta to resign. Here's why. As U.S. Attorney in Florida, he negotiated a then-secret plea deal on similar charges against Epstein back in 2008.
You're welcome, Sandy.
He cut a sweetheart deal for a powerful person at the expense of vulnerable people, and we shouldn't have him in an enforcement position with this administration.
Will Alexander Acosta remain as the Secretary of Labor?
I don't know. I'll leave that up to the president, but I'm glad somebody's looking at the Epstein case.
I think Labor Secretary Acosta has some very tough questions he needs to answer. My hunch is he will soon no longer be serving as secretary.
Brian Yanis live outside Epstein's apartment right here in New York City with more this morning. Good morning, Brian.
Sandra, good morning. Behind.
Okay, so you heard that, right, guys? Linda, I wish I knew the answer to that question. I don't have the answer to that question. I'm not going to just answer it because I don't know the answer to it. So, hi guys. So let me just say hello to everyone who has joined. Good to see Kathy from Texas, Red Lotus, Louise Poppy, all my great friends, all of my new people. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook for all live updates of when I do my live streams. I put out all of my notifications on my social media. Go to dutyron.com and you can find everything, all things Duty Ron for social media. So guys, as a law enforcement professional, as a retired law enforcement, Little Dove, hello Black Rose, as a retired law enforcement professional, I feel tremendous shame in regards to how this was handled. I'm not happy with the way the prosecutor from the Southern District in Miami, down in Florida in Palm Beach, Palm County, I feel that this guy received a slap on the wrist, and knowing what the indictment was down in the 2005, 2007, all of these people knowing how much of a evil tyrant this guy is, how much of a sexual predator he is, it's just disturbing for me to know that they wanted to willingly give him a slap on the wrist, and I still can't process it. I don't know why it happened. I know that if I was in charge and I was told to do that, I would quit my job. I would walk out of my job and say, you know what? you can take this job and shove it, because I'm not going to go home and sleep at night knowing that some child predator, sexual predator, is getting a slap on the wrist. He received 13 months in a county jail in Palm County, where he was allowed to go out 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, picked up by a limo driver and taken out for 12 hours unsupervised, not knowing where he went, not knowing what he did for 12 whole hours. And that to me is not a prison sentence. So he had to come back to sleep at the jail, but he was allowed 6 days a week to be out for 12 hours. I mean, he was registered as a sex offender and all and things like that, but this is just a travesty of justice, you know. So I feel ashamed for the prosecution, the justice community, not for my law enforcement professionals. I am proud of what law enforcement did here. They arrested him. They took the reports and arrested him. But our criminal justice system, the prosecutors dropped the ball. I'm ashamed of them. I'm ashamed of what they did. I'm not ashamed of my law enforcement guys. The men and women of the police department were instrumental in bringing this guy to jail. If it wasn't for them, he wouldn't be in custody. So I feel strongly about what my law enforcement counterparts did. They did their job. The other side of what happened was the travesty of justice. The criminal justice part of it, they really dropped the ball, you know. So the Southern District here in New York is the premier law enforcement on the federal side. They are the best of the best. They have the highest conviction rate. They prosecute their cases and get conviction. Their conviction rate is 99.9%. So when the Southern District here in New York takes a case and brings it to a trial, their conviction rate is 99.9%. So he's going down. He is going down, folks. So quickly, we have about 90 people here in the chat. If anybody is new in on the broadcast, let me know where you're watching from, your city and state or your country, so I can say hello to you and give a shout out. This case is now in the proper hands, and I feel very strongly that he is going to go for the rest of his natural born time here on the planet will be spent where he belongs, behind bars, locked up. So I you know, like I said, I wish that it would have gone differently in 2007. But 2007 to now, which is over a decade, this guy was a free bird. He was a free bird. And God only knows what this guy did up until the day he was arrested. I don't think that this guy decided to walk a straight line. I don't think that he decided to walk a straight line after he was incarcerated. I think he still was doing this disgusting behavior. You know, once a pedophile, once an addict, when it comes to this type of behavior, it's very hard to reform somebody like that. Hello, Nikki Mack. Good to see you, Nikki. I know you were in here from before. I just didn't know that you were still here. So I usually with you slip out. You do an Irish exit. You do the Irish exit. Caldwell, New Jersey. Good to see you, Sandy, Jersey girl. Hello from Texas, Laura. Thank you for joining. So he did not make bail. His bail hearing is for Monday, July 15th. So we got to pay close attention to that bail hearing. If he's granted bail, I will be shocked. I will be shocked. Now, I'm not saying that he's not going to get bail. I'm saying that there's a very high chance that they won't let him out. They won't let him out. How did it happen that this case came back to the limelight now? There was a federal ruling. A federal judge said that the plea deal that was given to him down in Southern District by Palm Beach, Palm County, and the prosecutors, the feds, the deal that they made was unlawful. And that was 2 months ago. And that's what opened the floodgates, guys. That's what opened the floodgates to having this reopen. As a federal judge brought re-looked at the case and found it and ruled that it was not proper. So that was 2 months ago. And that's it. You could look that up. Let me get this. Let me get this right. Okay. Guys, if you're new in on the chat, please subscribe. I showed you guys a lot of videos tonight. I talked about the indictment. I read you the indictment. So there's a lot of good information here. A lot of people are reporting what their theories are and what they think are going to happen. You have to look at what we have. You have substantial evidence against this child pedophile. We have substantial evidence against him, and you have the premier law enforcement judicial authority going at him. The Southern District, the FBI, New York office is the premier. They're the best of the best. All right. So they are like the SEAL Team 6 of, the military. These guys are the best of the best. My email is dutyron@aol.com. He's definitely going to be toast, Terry. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be toast. He is definitely going to be toast. So, again, doing these videos, I'm doing these videos so you guys can get a calm, cool, and collective synopsis of what's going on. You're getting it from me. And like I said, this law mumbo jumbo that I read to you on the indictments, I'm so used to seeing these. For me, it's like everyday stuff that I'm seeing here. For you guys, you see something like that, your head spins like, what does this mean? And basically, they spelled out in the indictment the crimes that he committed. And that indictment is what's going to go forward and be presented during his trial, along with all the evidence, all the victims who will come forward, all the electronic evidence that the FBI has seized from his property, all of the victim statements, all of the police reports, all of the detectives' casework. It'll all come up and against him. He's going to have the best attorneys fighting for him, trying to find anything that can get him a lesser sentence. But I don't think they're going to find anything loose, if you will, in this case, because the Southern District they dot their I's and they cross their T's. These guys are the best of the best. So on a lighter note, let me tell you something, guys. Okay, YouTube demonetizes all of these kind of videos. So I do not monetize from doing Jeffrey Epstein videos. It's a point that I want to make to you guys. I don't really care about the monetization part of it. I just care about getting the information out to you. Every time I make a Jeffrey Epstein video, it automatically gets demonetized by YouTube. And what pisses me off at them doing that is that they're saying that this type of stuff, they don't want anybody talking about this. And I feel that as Americans, and as human beings, we should be able to stand up for victims, and especially young girls or young children or young or old victims or mentally incapacitated victims. But what we have here is young girls, young victims, children who have been raped and molested by this sick, perverted animal. And just because we're talking about a sensitive topic, YouTube punishes the broadcaster by saying we cannot monetize your videos. You can get YouTube subscription monetization or super chat, but we're not going to allow our advertisers to run ads on a program like this. Now, to me, that's a travesty of justice, because those people who are that pay to advertise should be proud to put their ads on a video like this, because it's people like us that are standing up for the victims and for these poor families who now have to go through years and years of mental health counseling, anxieties. There's some of these girls are afraid to go outside. They're afraid to deal with anybody because of what's happened to them. I just found it ironic that YouTube would continually demonetize these types of videos. And I think that they're the most important thing to have out there. They should get the most noticeability. They should be put out there. But YouTube, for some reason, chooses to hide these videos and kind of just push them to the side because it's not, you know, politically correct or socially correct to speak about some billionaire that was taking advantage of young girls and raping them and sex trafficking them all over the country and outside of the country. So I just don't understand it, but it is what it is, you know. So I thank each and every one of you who've given Super Chat during the course of these videos and any of my subsequent videos. So anyone that has given Super Chat, thank you so much for that. I want to show you something on a lighter note that one of my viewers sent me, Paper Angel ASMR. Sonia, I don't think she's here, but Paper Angel ASMR, she's got a very strong channel of her own. She's got like 1,600 subscribers, and she has her husband's a paraplegic, and she's a caregiver to her husband, and she's a great wife and a really good friend of the Duty Ron family. Good night, Shelly B. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for hanging in there, and much love to your dad and strength to your father for his fight with his health concerns that are going on. But anyways, so when I went to Aruba, she sent me something in the mail, and she said, "Take care, Black Rose. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being in here. Thank you for moderating." So she sent me a shirt. I want to show you guys. So she had this shirt made for me. This is from Paper Angel ASMR. It says "On Duty, YouTube," and it has my website at the bottom, dutyron.com. How cool is that? So thank you to Paper Angel ASMR for that. She sent me the shirt. Yeah, really nice. So, super, super sweetheart. So, thank you so much, Paper Angel ASMR. You're a super sweetheart. That was so thoughtful of you to do that. Thank you so much for that. Really cool. When I opened up the bag, I was with my wife. Yeah, I went to my P.O. box with the missus, and I opened that up, and she was like, "Oh wow, that is so cool." So, really nice. She's a very thoughtful, kind. And she wrote a nice little note in there, you know, like, "Thank you so much for, you know, all your broadcasts that you do and, you know, looking out for everybody." So she included a really nice letter in the package. Hello, Dutchman, Dutchmas. Good to see you, Dutchmas. How's it going? Everybody subscribe to the Dutchmas. He's a great broadcaster from Brooklyn, New York. He is your New York City tour guide. He knows everything about New York and then some. He claims to not know everything about it, but he knows a lot more than I do. So Dutch Maz is a great guy for everyone to check out. Check out Joey Brooklyn, my good friend Joey Brooklyn. He is fantastic. Subscribe to all of those gentlemen. And my good friend Paper Angel ASMR. She's a great, great friend. She got me this wonderful t-shirt. She sent me you know, all kinds of sympathy cards when my mom passed away, and was continually sending me messages of encouragement and prayers. And like I said, she has her husband's a paraplegic. He's in a wheelchair, and she takes care of him 24/7 in her home. And she is a wonderful provider and wife to her husband. So kudos to you, Paper Angel ASMR. She's really awesome, an awesome woman. So that's it. You guys got my sentiment on this Jeffrey Epstein situation. I'm live over an hour, and that's a big no-no for me. I'm trying to keep my lives underneath an hour, so I went a little bit over because I want to spend some time with you guys. I share the same anger. I share the same hatred towards this man. I share the same anger that you guys share towards the criminal justice system and for all the people who dropped the ball on this. And I feel similar to you guys in the aspect of I want everybody who was partaking in a crime. It's one thing to know about what's going on, but when you engage in the actual moving along this crime, when you engage in paying an underage girl to have sex with your boss, you're a criminal. Okay? If you hear a rumor about so-and-so's doing something, then you're not committing a crime. You're just not morally correct by not reporting it or making a police report or notifying the authorities. So let me be clear about that. If there's someone out there that knows Jeffrey Epstein and knew that what he was doing was wrong and didn't partake in the criminal activities. In other words, if his friends knew what he was doing and didn't touch any of these girls or do anything with these girls, they had did nothing criminally wrong. What they did was morally they let humanity down by not reporting it, you know? So they have to live with that. These people have to live with that for the rest of their lives, that they did nothing about it. If you don't partake in the crime, then we can't go as Americans pointing fingers and saying everybody should be locked up. It doesn't work that way. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't work that way, even though you might not like it. I'm not here to bullshit you. I'm not here to tell you fabrications. Oh, everybody should go. Everybody that worked for that guy should go to jail. The people that should go to jail are employee number 1, 2, and 3 listed on that indictment. And the reason they should go to jail is because they were paying these girls and recruiting them and scheduling them. And that's why they're listed in that indictment. Because the Southern District of New York is coming for them. They're going to lock them up. So, just because somebody knows or has knowledge of something going on doesn't make them a criminal. It makes them a bad person. You need substantial evidence to effectively arrest and prosecute somebody. It's a 2-part deal, guys. When we as police officers and detectives place the handcuffs on someone and read them their rights, they got to get prosecuted by the DA's office, the district attorney, by the feds. If they don't have enough to prosecute them, they get let go. They get out. It doesn't mean that it's right. Look at what happened with O.J. O.J. Simpson, in my eyes, got away with murder ×2. Brutal. Because the police made the arrest and screwed up the evidence. And the prosecutors knew it, and they still went forward with the case. So that was a combo of the police and the prosecutors screwing up. He got away with murder because the police and the detectives, that guy Furman, forget about his racist rants and all that stuff, they processed evidence and took it home with them at night. They fucked up that whole crime scene. But so that's a whole other area that I could talk about that for days. This case of Jeffrey Epstein, the race car didn't win that case for him, Little Dove. I'm not going to keep going on it. This case is going to be about substantial evidence, electronic, corroborated evidence through victim statements, through actual people who are, these employee number 1, 2, and 3 are going to sing like birds. Employee 1, 2, and 3 are going to give everything up. They're going to substantiate all of these crimes to get what? A lesser sentence. I've seen this happen so many times. Okay? The detectives, the investigators for the feds, Southern District, remember, they're the best of the best, guys. These Southern District investigators are going to grab hold of everybody in that organization and they're going to grill them. And as we speak, probably right now, they're working that case. And they're going to get all of these people that were around Epstein, because he's in and they're out. They're going to sing like birds. And they're going to implicate as many people that were involved or that were partaking. We're going to hear about other perverted, sick fucks here. And I hate to use the F word, but we're going to hear about these sick, perverted fuckers. And it's going to be ugly. And we're going to get even more angry. But the good news is the victims are going to be there. These girls are going to be there. The poor young girls who are now adults are going to be there to substantiate what all of the workers are going to come and forward and say. Yeah, so-and-so showed up. This guy showed up. Yeah, Saturday night he'd have parties and all of his friends would show up and they'd all have their way with these girls. And I mean, I hope that that's not the case, but I have a feeling in my gut that that's what's going to come out. That this Epstein guy didn't just take advantage of these young girls himself. He had a whole team of perverted fuckers that were there with him. So, thank you, Jonna. Thank you for the super love. Appreciate that. Again, like I said, these videos don't get monetized because of the content, because of what I'm saying in it. So the super chat is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much for that, guys, girls. Thank you. I don't doubt that, Kathy, but I don't know that to be true because we have no evidence of it. So this is all, this is all just us speculating. Again, subscribe to my good friend Joey Brooklyn. Black Rose, I thought you were going to eat. Subscribe to my good friend Joey Brooklyn. Subscribe to Erin Leahy, Red Lotus, Black Rose, Jonna, Dutch Maz, Nabul, Dave in Osaka, Louise Poppy over in New Zealand. These are my people. These are my friends. These are my good friends. Joe Schmo, thank you for being here. I know you've been here for a while. Some of them were, hi, Duty Ron, had a cataract surgery today, just listening. Emily, much love and respect to you, and I hope you heal up nice. Don't bend over. Don't strain yourself. Follow the doctor's orders. So I hope you feel better soon. Kathy from Texas, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for that super love. Greatly appreciated. Look at Andy Griffin. He is Playing around with Carolyn Burnett over there. I love that graphic. Some people don't like that. I've had that up for a long time. But thank you guys for the super chat. So seriously, that's how this is going to go down. We're going to hear about a lot of different twists and turns. Duty Ron. But how is politics going to stay out of it? How is the truth going to be revealed? The victims and the investigators that talk to the people who worked inside Epstein's lair, his network of child trafficking. That's what's going to get him, not the politicians. The politicians, the wheels are turning. They can't stop it. No politician can get on board and stop this. This is like the Titanic. The ship has gone down. It's gone down, and everybody's floating in the water. That's what this is. I know that was probably a bad example, but the ship is taking on water, and we can't stop it. It's going down. No politician can do it. There you go, verbal constipation. Where is verbal diarrhea? I want him or her to show up really soon. The day that verbal diarrhea shows up when verbal constipation is here is the day I laugh my ass off. That's for sure. I thought about that too, Aaron Lacey. Let me scroll back. I agree that wildlife. Trump is going to be involved. I mean, he could be, but I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? So let's let the cards fall where they fall. I'm not one to sit and say this one's going to go down, that one's going to go down. I really go with what happens. And if it happens and he's named and he goes down, he goes down. Then he's a piece of shit. Anybody that's mentioned or that is confirmed involved in this is the lowest form of life. Lowest form of life. Guys, Amazon Prime Day is the 15th, is Monday and Tuesday. If you could use that Amazon, my Amazon influencer link on Monday and Tuesday when you shop on Amazon Prime Day, I would greatly appreciate that. That's another way to support my channel. It's another way to support the channel. All you do is click on my Duty Ron affiliate link. If you guys can keep putting that up, I'm going to put it in the description in this video, and I'm going to keep mentioning it. If you guys can shop on Amazon Prime Day, the 15th and 16th, that's Monday and Tuesday, using the Duty Ron affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. I did get it. I did get that notification. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. Like I said, Joe, if they weren't aware, or even if they were remotely aware that he was up to no good with younger girls and they didn't partake in it, there's no crime. There's no chargeable crime for that. It just makes them a bad person. Can everybody understand what I'm saying with that? I mean, we can have other views here. I will shop there a lot. I shop there a lot. Terry, just check out. There it is. There's my Amazon affiliate link. Red Lotus, thank you for putting that. I appreciate you guys spamming the chat with that. I appreciate that. Exactly, Sherry. Exactly. That's why I feel, and I'm not saying it because I'm a huge Trump supporter. Listen, I support my president, whether it's Obama, Trump, Clinton's. You know, there was plenty of presidents that I didn't like, that I didn't vote for, and I supported them. I never badmouthed them. I never bashed them. And that's the truth. I don't do that. I don't do it. I support and I respect the office. Whether the person deserves the respect or not, that's just how I was raised. That's what I do. Don't hate me for it. That's just what I do. Doesn't mean that you have to do that. I'm not telling you to do that, but I'm saying that, you know, if in fact he is found to be criminally involved in that, then I hope he goes down. I hope anybody that does that is got any involvement in this, I hope they go down. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it was the Pope, God forbid, you know. If it was someone from the Vatican, I want them down. I want them in jail. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to keep it light. We're not going to speak about any more politics. That is as far as I'll go with that. So, again, exactly, Joey. Very well said, Joey Brooklyn. Nobody is above the law. Nobody. Nobody. I don't care who it is. This is the most heinous crime that you can think of. Okay? Heinous crime. Hold on. Let me go back to verbal constipation. I don't see it. I don't see it. Okay. Let's take care of that. All right. Anyways, so I'm back. What else did I want to do? So I do have more videos, but I think I'm going to end it. This is an hour and 21 minutes. This has been a marathon for me. I know you guys like it when I hang around. I love the interaction with you guys. I love to speak about this stuff. I love to speak the truth. I want to just say thank you to all of the people who moderate for me, my people who support me through Patreon, the people who support me through positive comments. Leave me comments in the comment section below the video. Those comments mean a lot because they help with the algorithm. They are important on a channel. They are important on the channel because it shows interaction. I love to speak with you guys through the comment section. You can email me. I will answer your emails. Yeah, I got to get going. I got to go to sleep. Go to my website, dutyron.com, and check out everything social media on dutyron.com. Make sure you share this video on your social. Share it now onto Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. Share it out there. Put it out. Tweeny weeny. Love to you from Scotland. Love your channel. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the new subscribers subscribing to my channel now and in the future. Thank you to all of you guys for your positive interaction, your support for the military, your local law enforcement, your first responders, your nurses, doctors, and all of our educators in the education system. It's not an easy job to be a teacher. We need them, and we need our first responders and our military. So God bless each and every one of you from my house to yours. Subscribe to the channel. Interact with me. This is what I bring to you. I bring to the table interaction. Okay, we're all here for interaction, and that's what we do here on Duty Ron channel. So again, much love and respect from my house to yours. D90, good night. Thank you, Joey Brooklyn. Thank you, Girl Learning the World. You do sound tired. I am. I'm beat. I've been speaking for an hour and 21 minutes. Nikki Mack, I love you. I hope all is well with you down in the great state of Tennessee. Hee-haw! Nikki Mack, my favorite Mexican Canadian. I had to get that in there, Nikki. She's my favorite Mexican Canadian gal. I'll tell you, she can put a pair of cowboy boots on and make some tacos like there's no tomorrow. So, God bless you, Nikki. Jonna, thank you for all you do. Erin Leahy, thank you so much for being here. Nikki Galdry, thank you for coming in from Montreal. Nikki, Black Rose, Kelly, love and respect to you. I will speak to you guys all on the next video. Share, 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 share. Please. Take care, Joe Schmo. Thanks for coming in and thanks for moderating. Duty Ryan, I'm on my way out the door. Killer, I'm on my way out. Black Rose, thank you. I'll speak to you all soon. Love and respect from New York City. Guys, be kind to one another, and I'll talk to you soon. Ciao for now.